Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, David Howard. We're here to break down Blood World and everything in between. David, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I am so glad. I've been waiting for this interview for a while. Unfortunately, I think we had been scheduled before and I had something come up. So thank you so much for having me back, and looking forward so much to being able to talk to you.
Already off to a great start. You know, anytime a guest tells me they're looking forward to this, like, chef kiss, that makes the interview just start off so much smoother. We have Diggs, by the way, 7 over on Twitch saying, hey, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good morning as well. So, David, I mean, before we really get to chopping it up, you know, what have you been reading lately? Like, what's been on your plate currently?
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. For Christmas, this isn't comics related, but I am a horror writer as well. And I got a collection of H.P. Lovecraft. So I've been rereading H.P. Lovecraft. Love that. But on top of that, right now, I'm loving the new Creepshow comics that are coming out right now from Image. And then also, I love the Elvira comics. And they're still doing Elvira, in Horrorland. So I'm reading those, and I'm really enjoying that. And then the Hellboy stuff is great from Dark Horse. So I'm really into that, other publisher stuff. I still read DC and Marvel as well, but I'm digging what's coming out from there as well at the moment. So really enjoying that stuff. So.
No, that I definitely need to check some of that out too. I'm always interested in asking because it helps me expand my interest as well too. Because I mean, chances are you've probably read something that I haven't even heard of. So, CM Holy dropping in on Twitch as well. Good morning to you as well, Chris. So, David, I mean, let's start with the basics. Who are you, and how did you end up getting into creating comics?
I live out here in Southern California. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. I'm probably, I'm fine saying it. I'm in my early 50s. And I was originally an Army officer, but I've always wanted to be a writer. I've written things since from a very early age, and comics from a very early age. My dad bought me my first comic when I was like 7. It was Flash versus Superman Race of the Century comic,
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, one of these huge giant comics. I was sick at home. My dad brought it home, and I've got a copy of it up on the wall over here. I'm looking at it right now. I was always into comics and reading comics and everything like that, and wrote kind of as a hobby. And Hades from ASAP Imagination, who I know you're familiar with because you've interviewed him before. I was involved with Comic Crusaders, writing comic reviews and doing movie reviews and things like that. I have a couple podcasts on Comic Crusaders and some other things I do.
Feel free to shout them out if you want to.
Yeah, sure. I do Cinema Crusaders every Friday afternoon, where we talk about retro movies. We look at older movies that we think are important or that people would enjoy that have kind of fallen by the wayside. The last one we did was Logan's Run from 1976. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Great movie, really influential. So we do that. And then I also do a horror podcast on Omen Comics Podcast Network called Countless Corpses Podcast, where we talk about horror movies. And so I do those. And I also do a show called Sloppy Spoilers, where we talk about current TV shows and stuff. And
so
we
cool.
talk about that. Yeah. So I love to talk about those types of things. But, comics is my first love. And so I was, like I said, I was writing reviews, and I was working for film studios at that point as well. And then I kind of fell out of that during COVID. And Hades came along and had seen my writing and had asked for some help with some stuff. And I love to write bad guys. I love to come up with cool organizations and stuff. It's kind of like, I won't say anything, but I have a lot of experience in the military industrial complex, with the Army. And so he goes to me, he goes, hey, can you help me write and design some stuff for my world, for ASAP Imagination? I said, sure. So I came behind the scenes and I started, looking at some stuff and brainstorming ideas with them. And then I came up with this idea for something called OPSEC, which was an organization in this larger group. And he said, this would be a great comic. He's like, do you want to write this comic? And I'd always wanted to write comics. I said, yeah, sure. And it kind of has ballooned from there, so not only am I writing novels and stuff like that, I write OPSEC for ASAP Imagination. I write short stories and things as well. So, and that's kind of how it's ballooned from there. So it's been a whirlwind. It was gosh, I think that's almost 3 years ago, or a little over 3 years ago. But I've been a writer longer than that. But that's where that genesis of actually writing comics. But as a comics fan, it's a lifelong thing. 1970s Super Friends is where it really grabbed me. So I'm one of those kids.
I think I have what right here, the Super Friends like Batmobile.
Yeah, there it is.
So where does Raincross Press come into this? Like, how does that come into play?
Yeah, Raincross Press. So it's one of those things. I've always been a person that prefers to be a creative. I like to write or do video editing or whatever it is. I never thought that I would run a business. And once again, this name's going to come up a lot because this guy has been huge as far as being a mentor. He and Al Mega from Comic Crusaders have really been there to help me, support me, and things like that. And I had these ideas for other things I wanted to do outside of ASAP. And so originally Raincross was just a studio where I was going to be a studio and then publish through other people. But the financials and the situation and everything, I looked at it and I was like, I kind of got to start my own business here. And I talked to some people, including Paul, and they were very supportive. And I took the leap and created Raincross Press. And Raincross is actually named after the city I lived in. So I live in Riverside, California, which is about 50 miles east of Los Angeles. And we have a mission here, which is not unusual. There's missions all up and down California, but the particular mission here, they took a symbol from the Native Americans that were here, and then the cross for the mission, and they put them together and formed this thing called the Rain Cross, to bring the natives into Catholic Church and everything. But it's become the unofficial symbol of Riverside. Actually, I think it's the official symbol. It's all over the place. So anywhere you go in this city, it's on. There are like old, 1920s lampposts with it on it. It's on our street signs. It's on our, it's everywhere. So, when I created my own studio here in Riverside, and there's no comic studios here, I was like, this is perfect. Raincross Press. We are the Riverside Comic Studio. So
that's so cool. And it's awesome that it ties back, to where you come from, your roots.
Yeah, absolutely. Although it's funny is like, even though I've got a lot of people that work for me, I am the only one that lives in Riverside, because the nature of the business now, we're all over the world, I've got an artist in South Africa. I've got an artist up in the Pacific Northwest. I've got one in the UK, writers all over the United States. So it's just the way the industry is now,
We have Mama Geekly's hopping it over on Facebook. She said she heard that about Raincross. So yeah, that's so cool. So I gotta ask, how's everything been like running Raincross Press? Do you feel like any of your experience from the Army kind of has helped and benefited you in like maybe ways of organizing and running it?
Yeah, to a certain extent, although nobody wants to drop and give me 20.
You missed a deadline, you know what's up.
Yeah. If I say drop it, give them 20, be like, yeah, we'll get right on that. They'll tell me they're doing it on the other end of the Zoom call or whatever. But no, I think it does. It has helped. I do certainly find I was lucky enough. I got my education at West Point, so I'm a West Point graduate. And so I was an Army officer, and I got training in management and those types of things, and how to deal with that kind of stuff. So, as far as actually being able to deal with people and situations and navigate those types of things, that has helped immensely. The big learning curve is obviously all the other stuff that I swore that I would never do and that I would hate. And I've come to find that although I enjoy writing more, I don't mind learning all of the business stuff, learning how to go out and price things and figure out, profit margins and all of those other types of things. So, I didn't think that I would like that, but I do. However, whenever I get back to doing writing, that is like my, my dessert after I have to eat my vegetables, which is, do the business stuff. So.
We have ASAP actually stopping in. Hey, both popping in, showing some love to my bro Nem. He's an amazing creator. And then Mama Geekly saying thank you for your service as well. Yeah, thank you for your service, David.
Thank you. And hey, what's up, Paul? How you doing? We had I have to give a shout out. We launched a new show for ASAP Imagination last night called Any One World Showcase.
Okay.
And that was amazing. We were Anyone World, just give them a little shout out. Anyone World is this thing that Paul created where for independent creators to go, and if you need a publisher, they bring their stuff there, and he's a publisher for them and gives them a platform. And so we're featuring these creatives on there every 2 weeks and talking to them. And
That's so
show
cool.
last night.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I've had most of the ASAP Imagination crew like on here, and the Any World too. Had a whole slew of you guys on here. It's awesome.
And now you've completed your collection with me.
The circuit's finally ended. I'm Thanos with my ASAP glove.
Yes.
Let's go. So,
I'm the time stone in your glove.
how does all of this lead to Blood World? That's what we're here to talk about today, right? Like, so how does this all lead you to the road of that?
Yeah, Blood World. So it's really interesting. I am one of those writers. I some people call it thorough. I call it being anal. But I'm one of those writers that loves to write copious notes and details that may never make it into anything that I'm writing. I just like to create worlds, and it really springs out of I loved Tolkien as a kid, J.R.R. Tolkien, and he did that with a lot of his stuff, and I kind of fell into that. And then I took some classes when I was much younger from some different writers who talked about world building, and it's something I've always loved. So Blood World was originally going to be a series of novels, and the reason it's called Blood World is about one particular character in Blood World who is something called a blood wraith. And blood wraiths are assassins for something called the Soul Scientific Symposium. But the reason they're called blood wraiths is because they have the ability to real-time change their genetic code to grow extra limbs, to grow armor, to turn their limbs into weapons, any number of things. The downside of that is every time they do that, they risk genetic damage, and they could turn into a pile of slush, because their body decomposes.
I love how like they seem so OP, but you give them that caveat where if they do it too much, they end up like potentially dying or becoming goop.
Absolutely. I think you always have to balance those kinds of things. It's one of the things I love as a writer. Is making sure, if you give somebody a lot of power, they have to have some way of losing or a downside to heighten tension and stakes and make it interesting for your readers, no matter what you're doing, prose or comics. So this was supposed to be a novel, and I had written literally 500 years of history of Blood World from current date all the way through current date, or our date now, to current date in Blood World universe, which is 2587. So, I had written all this history. I wrote all the technology. I wrote what's going on in our solar system because we've branched out into the solar system. And I'm looking at it, and I'm already writing another novel series. And I'm like, I really don't have time to write this right now, a science fiction series. Plus, I've created this whole huge universe with all this detail, and I'm only going to tell this little bitty piece of it, and I'm not doing justice to it. So I got to talking with some people that I know, and they're like, man, we love this story. And then, one person comes to me and is like, I could see this happening here. And then another person comes to me and says, I could see this happening over here. And I said, yeah, that could happen there, with this tweak, or that's how this works there. And, so all these people were throwing ideas, because I've got a group of friends who are all writers, and we were sharing this. And then I said, this would look great as a graphic novel or a magazine. And I said, and you guys are great writers. I said, brainstorm. We need to do the American version of 2000 AD or heavy metal. This is what we need, And so that's kind of where Blood World came in. And so then people started pitching me ideas, and I wrote stories myself for the Blood World issue that we're crowdfunding right now. So there are 6 stories in there, plus some standalone small stories that are going to lead to other things. But I wrote 2 of the stories, and then 4 of my friends, who are also comic book writers themselves, wrote stories in there. And the way it works is that I'm kind of like the master of the universe. So they come in and they pitch me ideas and everything. And if it works, we bring it in wholesale. If it doesn't, I say, hey, this works, this doesn't. And then I have the overall narrative of the larger universe, how it's going forward. And so that's how we created all that. And so these 6 stories are really interesting because they're spread all across this universe, but some of them are looking at very high level stuff. So I'm writing things about politics and kings and queens
Mm-hmm.
and wars and stuff like that, versus one particular guy, I think Mike Nunnally, is writing a story which is basically a serial killer detective story in the style of Blade Runner meets Gattaca meets Seven, in one of these huge hub cities off the, orbiting Saturn. So, you've got all these different kinds of stories, and it's just a glimpse into what's going on in Blood World. And as we move forward, those stories will converge as world events happen. But right now we're
That's
looking
so
at these
awesome.
people. So yeah.
That's massive. Real quick, we have some chatter in over on YouTube. We have Mark Styles saying, love the artwork, man. ASAP saying, Blood World's a genius idea. The art is stunning. Mark Styles says, with great power comes great responsibility. And then ASAP, Master of the Universe, Heenim. I really love this concept. I mean, I gotta ask, how hard is it to ensure that continuity, stays true throughout the whole thing? Working with like 6 different stories.
It's difficult. It really is. And that is part of my job, and I knew that going in, because it's like, I got to make sure, I don't think it is as difficult as I imagine it would be, because I had a good idea of what the rules of the universe were, and as long as everybody understands the rules that they're working with, then they could go off and do crazy stuff. And sometimes, I'll be perfectly honest, some of the people have come up with ideas that I never would have thought of, and I've said, that's amazing. Of course that's in our universe, and then
Yeah.
and I bring that in. And and that's the cool part. And everyone has been, I've been very upfront with them in that, although they're writing, they may come up with something, and they obviously get credit for it. It becomes part of Blood World and becomes part of Raincross Press. And that's part of ensuring that continuity, because another thing that I am very committed to is that one of the things I loved about 2000 AD is that it featured so many amazing artists and writers that went on to do other things, and so this is a long-term goal of mine for Blood World and Raincross. But I would love to be able to feature, aspiring artists, aspiring creators who are going to come in and cut their teeth on Blood World, and then go on and do bigger and better things, and if they do, go, with my blessing, vaya con Dios, go and be successful. And just don't forget us,
Yeah.
don't forget us, come back. But, I will say, I will give him a shout out right now. The guy who worked on our cover, this is our cover right here for Blood World #1, Brian Wilson. He also did a lot of the artwork that you've seen, or some of the artwork you've seen so far. I mean, he's a young and hungry artist up there in the Pacific Northwest, relatively unknown. And this guy is just amazingly talented. And I hope that, once this thing gets off the ground and gets going, I hope people see his work, and I hope he gets more work. I would be very happy if that happens. So.
So who else is involved in this? If we can give a little shout out to the rest of the creative team.
Sure. Going through my writers real quick. So I've got my art director. He's also my partner in Raincross Press, and he is also a writer for a story called Fellhand. So I think you've seen the image of it looks like a red mutant barbarian stabbing into a dinosaur. He drew that. So that's Jeff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Jeff is, so he, like I said, he's a writer, he's the art director, and he's also an artist on the book. And then Michael Nunnally is writing a story called Descent. He's from Omen Comics. Steve Seller is writing a story called Inquisitor, and he's also from Omen Comics, but I knew him through Comic Crusaders first. And then David Taylor II, he's also a comic creator and a novelist, and I knew him through Comic Crusaders. He's writing a story called Into the Bloodlands, which also takes place on Earth, but it has a distinct Japanese feel. It's very interesting. Very interesting. And then, like I said, I'm writing 2 stories. One is called Family, which is about the Ganymede monarchy. And, they're an interesting group. They are descended from cyber rebels that left Earth 200 years previously, and they've created this whole technology around Jupiter. And then, but it's about, I would say Dune meets Game of Thrones in space. That's what they're doing. And then the Blood Race story, it's simply called Blood Race. So the stuff that was originally going to do for a novel is now coming to you in graphic novel or graphic format.
That's so cool.
Right. And then our artist, Brian Wilson is up there in the Pacific Northwest. And then we've got he prefers to be called Kostemeyer. He's a man of mystery, but that's
Hmm.
one of our artists over there in the UK. Then we have Sammy Crown Studios uh, out in South Africa who works for us. And then Tosin Owasika. I always pronounce his name wrong. I'm so sorry, Tosin. But he's in Nigeria working for us. And then finally, we have David Jackson down there in Georgia, who has done a lot of artwork for us. He did some cool stuff. One of the things he did is I came up with the concepts for like mechs and battle suits and things like that. And he
Hmm.
drew this really cool schematic for that,
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so that's kind of the other thing that's cool about the book is that, yeah, we have these stories, but I wanted to be like you're peering into the universe. So in between the stories, you'll get like ads, like an
Hmm.
advertisement for like a dating service. What does a dating service look like in this world? Or you'll get like schematics, because I'm one of those geeks that love to read like the Star Wars, schematic book about, where they broke down the Death Star and all the
Yeah,
different
yeah.
levels. Yeah, so I want to do that in the book as well. So we're doing stuff like that.
Oh, perfect. I think right now would be a perfect segue, though. Let's go ahead and switch over to the Indiegogo and see what this campaign's all about. So we are currently looking at Blood World Issue 1. 300 billion people, 6 epic stories. The future is a struggle for power, supremacy, and survival by Raincross Press. $704 of a $9,200 goal with 22 days left to go. So is this like your first campaign, or how many campaigns have you done so far?
This is my first campaign, and I've learned a lot of lessons, and you know what, we started off a little slow, but I've got some plans, and we are working towards meeting our goal. But I will say right up front, even if we don't meet our goal, this is not the last time you'll hear from us. We'll come back and we will try again. So, but please, before we go through, look through it. If you like what you see, please give us, consider backing us or give us a share and stuff like that, because I think we got some great stuff to offer you. But definitely, let's go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So right here, some of the interiors too. So what story is this one from? This is a gorgeous image right here.
Yeah, so this is I was mentioning Brian Wilson before, and so this is Brian's artwork, and this is on Descent, and so that's Mike Nunnally's story. So this is that story I was telling you about, which is a murder mystery with so it's like Blade Runner meets Gattaca
Hmm.
in the bowels of a hub city. And real quick, just to explain a hub city, um, there are hub cities and there are hub cities, but at the pinnacle of technology in S3, the Seoul Scientific Symposium, they have a number of these cities on these moons that orbit Saturn. And these cities go 10 miles underground and extend 70, 80 miles up into the atmosphere, and they're called hub cities because basically they're blocks built on blocks built on blocks. And they're so large that you can't, see the top of this part of the section you're on versus where you go to the next section. So this
Hmm.
is Murder Mystery is taking part in one of those hub cities.
And that would probably be impossible to figure out, right? You have so much to explore. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool is that one of our little jokes that Mike and I came up with. So, he pitched me this idea and we worked a lot about, he wanted to know exactly what was going on. Mike is one of those very detail oriented guys. So I told him all about this culture because the blood race come from the same civilization. So I had lots of notes on this already. And so he understood about what's going on. And this whole society is all about genetic engineering.
Hmm.
And basically, like one of the little things, the little caveats here is that it's an automatic death sentence if you have a bloodborne disease, because everything is about your blood in this
Ooh.
society. But the funny thing is, only a few, a small minority of the population can really take part in this society. The rest of them don't have the proper genetics to do so, and so it's very class based. And so the people that live on the lower levels live a much different lifestyle than the people that are up here higher. This is at a middle level. And so we came up with this idea playing on the old thing from the 70s, which the people at the lower level say, don't trust anyone over 30, which is don't trust anyone who lives above level 30, so,
I love it.
yeah, so it's this kind of cool thing. And we may make a shirt about that someday, if this takes off, it'd be kind of fun. So
We have Mama Geekly, kind of like Hunger Games with their different cities. Pretty cool concept. Yeah, I really think that is an awesome take within this world. And then we have the dinosaur that you were talking about earlier. This looks like a pretty gruesome story in itself. So this is in the same universe. Is it on the same, like, in the same time, or is this one like set in the past?
No, this is absolutely in the same time. So here's where things get a little crazy. So Earth has really gone. There's no nice way to put it. Earth has gone to hell in a handbasket. You know, there have been nuclear wars. There have been plagues. There have been outbreaks. There have been all sorts of things have happened in the almost 600 years between our time and 2587. And most of the people who live on Earth that could get off Earth got off the planet, and they're living in various places around the solar system. And the Earth has become a mutated, irradiated mess. And there are pockets of civilization, but even that, I don't want to give too much away, but those pockets of civilization are kind of are dying, slowly by inches. And so what is left of humanity looks a lot similar to, very similar to this character Fellhand. They've mutated. They've become mutants unto themselves in order to survive in the new reality, which is Earth. And the two quote unquote human factions, which is the Ganymede Monarchy and S3, come to Earth to harness these genes and old tech and things like that. But what is going on in the actual planet is really a struggle for survival. And we're watching a planet and ecology and evolution on a macro scale. I mean, it's gone incredibly fast. And so Fellhand, there is one of these mutated humans who is now barbarian, and they live in tribes. But he's holding this sword. He's holding is a remnant of the old Terran Federation, the lost technology, and he thinks it's magic. It's not magic. It's just really advanced tech.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And,
but that would be magical to them, right? Like to someone like a barbarian like that.
Absolutely. And he is finding something. It looks like a dinosaur, but that's actually something called a prophecy bear. And this is what bears in this region have morphed into, and they have psychic powers. And they're really horrible things. They kind of they're called prophecy bears because they have the ability to look into your mind and determine when you're going to die, and then project images of your death into your mind. And overwhelm you with that. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Oh geez, it almost kind of reminds me almost like a death claw from Fallout.
Absolutely, that's a great analogy. But yeah, and that's the thing, is that they're so, it looks like it shouldn't exist in the same world. And it's interesting because these stories are going to be separate, but eventually you're going to see how this will all come together. Like you will see that Fellhand is going to be investigating over his arc, what is going on with lost tech and who these people were, and who the people living in the remnants of the old civilization are, who they think are gods. And what does it mean when barbarian society who worships the gods in the old spire cities finds out that they're actually just decadent humans who are incapable of defending themselves? What happens then? So
wow, this is a really expansive world. And I love too, like how different each story looks. Like right here we have, it looks like almost like a completely different take on things too. So what are we seeing here?
So this is a page of panels from Blood Wraith. So what you're seeing basically here is just a training session of the Blood Race. So when you're seeing, if you look at those middle panels, the one of the Blood Race, the two of them are training, and it's a training session on their ship before they go down on a mission. They're actually going to Earth, and one of them loses their temper. So the female loses her temper and is trying to win the battle, and she shoots out her arms and transforms them into weapons. And I will give a little giveaway. I'm infamous among my friends as being the Tom Holland of comics, because I give away too much information all the time. But I will say that she gets chastised heavily for this. She's like a new recruit because just in a training session, she does this transformation and she does 5% genetic damage to herself. So, it's one of those things. So even in a training session, just using your powers is kind of dumb because you take the risk of damaging yourself and putting yourself one step closer to death. So, but there's a whole session, or this whole story is following the character. If you look at the bottom right, that is our main character of the story. And That is the main Blood Wraith, and I won't give away too much of his story or his name, but we're going to be following him and what his importance is to S3 and to the Blood Race, because what they're going to find in his blood is going to really shake up that world. So
that is awesome. So let's go ahead and check out some of these tiers as well. So everyone that is watching, check this out with us. Right there is the link. Be sure to back, and if you can't back, simply just sharing this where you can helps just as much. So right off the rip, we have the Cyber Rebellion digital pack, so you can get this for $10 digitally. How many pages again is this going to be?
Yeah, so there's a couple things here. So the Blood World itself is 88 pages. So 88 pages of content, plus a lot of indie creators out there. We've known a lot of people, we've helped a lot of people, and indie is just a big community. They donated their number ones to us to give away to help our campaign. So,
I want to say we've had most of these people on the show. John Stokes, we've had Scott, Jeff, Cody, John. Yeah, like I want to say half of this we've already had them on the show. Awesome number ones.
Yeah, great people and just absolutely generous, amazing. And so they donated it. So what we're offering for $10 is that not only do you get Blood World, which is 88 pages, you get to pick 3 of these comics digitally as well. So you get a total of over 150 pages of content for $10. Digitally.
Outstanding. Yeah. And then we have the Inquisitorium Writers Pack for $13. So what's included in this?
So everything from the up above. So you get everything from the digital pack, plus all of us who are writers on the on Blood World. We also have other comics. So all of us donated comics to this to give away for free. So not only do you get Blood World at 88 pages, and you get 3 of the free number ones that were so generously donated, you get a grand total of 7 of our writers' number one comics as well digitally. So you get a grand total of 10 comics plus Blood World. So that's over 300 pages of content for $13. And we really are trying to offer people the best value for their money, because everybody's time and money is valuable. So we wanted to encourage that. So.
And then we have Fellhand's Chosen Pack at 35.
Yeah, so this is you will get everything from the digital pack. So you'll get Blood World digitally, you'll get 3 number ones, and then you will get a physical copy of Blood World. And I will say that one of our stretch goals, and I can't announce this, but one of our stretch goals. So when we get funded, not if we get funded, when we get funded, we have an agreement with Ben Templesmith of 30 Days of Night to do a cover for us. And so we'll be offering that as a stretch goal. So,
wow. That is so, how did you feel when you got that hooked up? That is so cool.
Yeah, that was really, really amazing. It was really incredible. I got to thank Jeff for that. He's friends with Ben, and we talked to Ben, and Ben looked at the project and said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So, once we get that going, when we meet our goal, we will say, hey, Ben, can you draw us a cover? And go ahead and start on that cover, and then that will be a stretch goal that we'll offer as well. So
cool. And then we have ending the 94th Blood Race pack at 94. So what's this all about?
Yeah, so this is kind of a nod. This is a fun little thing. So obviously the Blood Race are a military unit. I graduated from West Point, the class of 94. So and they've been very supportive. So this cool. is kind of my nod to them. And so I did a couple cool things here. So you get everything from the Inquisitorium pack up above, with the physical copy and the digital stuff. And you get all of the number one, artist copies, number ones. You get a canvas print of your choice. You get a sticker pack. And then I designed, one of the things, that us military guys love is we love our patches, our unit patches. So I designed a special 94 Blood Race unit patch with their unit logo on it that you'll actually get a physical patch.
That's so cool. That is awesome. Yeah. For everyone watching, right here is the link once again. Be sure to check this out. And back today, if you can, we have Lori from ASAP stopping in to say woo, Blood World, throwing some hands up in the air.
Yeah,
absolutely,
Lori.
Absolutely. So, Dave, after going through that, checking out the Indiegogo in its entirety, what would you like to say to anyone who might be kind of hesitant or on the fence about backing?
Yeah, go through, give us a check. If you got questions, there are so many people who are involved with this. We will talk your ear off about it if that's what you want. We will give you information. But I think, as far as my sales pitch, we really do realize that time and money is valuable. We are a new company, but we are committed to bringing you quality,
Hmm.
quality writing, quality artwork. But I'd also say, for $10 or $13 at our digital pack, I don't think you can get a better deal than that anywhere. 150 pages for $10. I don't think you're going to find a better deal than that anywhere. And you're getting some established comics that are already out there, plus Blood World. For $13, you're getting 300 pages. So,
Yeah.
I think, if you take a chance on us, I know you're going to be happy. And then you're getting great quality. I can tell you, value for your money. You're getting great value for your money. So yeah,
Yeah,
give us a
absolutely.
chance.
And
So
most of those number ones, like I said, we've interviewed them on the show. They already have like issue 3 or issue 4 out, so they're ongoing series. They're not just one and done. So
absolutely, absolutely. And you get to choose, you get to look and if you have questions, we will definitely answer those questions. Like I knew one person who bought and they were like, hey, I'm buying this and I've got kids and, can you tell me which ones would be appropriate for kids and stuff? I said, well, make sure you look at Blood World before you show it to your kids, but thank you for purchase.
yeah.
But yeah, I said, this number one is good. These comics are good for kids and stuff like that. So, we will definitely work with you and talk to you because that we definitely understand that, all comics are not for all ages all the time. So,
Absolutely. We have Benjamin Moore stopping in from YouTube. Sounds like a great value, and this world looks awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to dive in. And it sounds,
thank you.
you said this is going to be something that's ongoing as well, correct? So let's say after issue 1, how long in between can we expect issue 2?
Well, once issue 1's done, I want to get right into issue 2. And in fact, I could tell you that issue 2, 3, and 4 are already written. So we have already written all that. And Jeff and I, believe it or not, we've planned out story arcs for years.
Wow.
That's just what we do. We'll sit down and start talking for hours, and we have our story arcs written down. But our goal really, like I said, I mentioned 2000 AD or heavy metal, and I didn't do that by accident. We would like for this to grow into that type of magazine. So it would be, ostensibly it would be a quarterly magazine. So this would come out once every 3 months. But the thing is the cool part about this is just like Judge Dredd from 2000 AD, eventually Judge Dredd popped out of 2000 AD and became its own title. And I could see that happening here. So it's like if people really take to Fellhand and say, hey, I love Fellhand. I want Fellhand in its own comic. It's like, okay, the people have spoken. That's fine. And then, we will pop Fellhand out of Blood World and get another story in because there's 6 billion stories to tell, get another story in there and Fellhand will become its own standalone comic that we would then do monthly,
No, I got you. So speaking of that, though, outside of Blood World, what's next for you in 2023? I mean, we're right in the beginning of the year. So do you have any other projects that you're working on outside of Blood World?
Absolutely. So I've mentioned Hades and Lori is also with ASAP Imagination and so I write a title called OPSEC for them. OPSEC number 3 is going to be coming out in June. So you can follow the adventures of Nigel Hammersmith and Indra Jafari and then Barbara King and her demonic doll Maisie, as they investigate some mysteries around the town of Rhineshard there. So that's coming out. And that's a fun comic. I have a horror novel out right now that I'm still doing promos for and everything. And, we're going to keep selling those. It's called The Long Game. And it's a paranormal mystery and thriller. So that is out at the moment.
Where can people find that?
They can find that on anyoneworld.com. So it was published through ASAP Imagination on the Any One World platform. So you can find that novel there. And and then OPSEC is on ASAP Imagination. So you can find that there. And then also for Raincross Press, I mean, we're doing a couple other things. So 2 different projects. One is going to be a young adults series that I'm going to start where we're going to be writing about businessmen and women you've never heard of, and it's going to be for kids. Like one of them is about the lady who invented Pepperidge Farms, and she did it because her son was sick. And so she invented wheat bread. Yeah. And then the government tried to take her company away during World War II, and she fought them off and everything. So very, very cool story that, I think be fun for kids to hear and be entrepreneurial and see how different people come to different stuff. So
I'm wondering,
cool.
I've heard the saying Petra's Farm remembers. I'm wondering if that's where that came from. Like, she's like, hey, we remember, don't ever come for us again. Like,
now I got to go and check that out. I don't know. That would be interesting to find out. And then the other thing we're doing is, I love Warhammer 40K, and that's kind of one of the things that inspired me with Blood World, among many things. And so one of the things I love about Warhammer 40K is they have this thing called Black Library, where not only have the game system, but they have people write novels within the universe to tell stories. And I thought that would be cool for Blood World. So this summer, I am putting aside, or working on 2 novels at the same time. And one of the novels I'm working on is a novel within the Blood World universe. It's going to be a standalone novel. But I want, like I said, I wanted to help writers and artists. I'm going to put out a call for young writers that want to, break their teeth on science fiction. Come work with us at Raincross, write a novel within the Blood World universe, pitch me an idea, and we'll publish it and get you out there and get you exposure. And it will start creating our own Black Library of stories within the Blood World universe. So people can be
awesome.
Like, not only am I seeing the comics, I could read about this character or that character or this war or something like that. So cool stuff.
No, that is so cool, David. I'm excited for you. 2023 sounds like it's going to be one hell of a year. Before we let you go, though, I always love asking for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be new that is listening. So with that being said, for anyone who is maybe suffering, kind of just getting motivated and starting writing art or anything in between with the comic book creation process, what would you like to say to them, kind of help them just get that boost to get going,
Yeah, I think I always struggle with this one, but I'm going to give you a little bit of advice that has helped me now, and it's advice I should have taken much sooner, but it's never too late. Be brave, and it's hard. It's easy to say that, but I over the course of 30 years, wrote 10 novels or more. I think more than 10 novels that I threw away because I wasn't brave enough to put them out there. So
wow.
I wrote novels that I threw away, and it helped me hone my craft, but I don't have them anymore. So it's like, it's scary to do that. It's scary to start a new venture or business. It's scary to do things where you have the possibility of failure, but without courting that failure, you can't achieve greatness,
Wow. Wow. I love that so much. Without courting failure, you cannot achieve greatness. That needs to be on a shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's my advice to all of you out there. All of you independent creators, all of you are like, this idea is stupid, or nobody's going to want to read this. That's all self-doubt. That's all in your head, because you will never know until you do it, and for every failure, that is one more stepping stone for you to get to your goal. So go out there. If you're an independent creator, go out there and do it. And if you need help, ask for help, and you'll find people that can help you to do that as well, because there are a lot of great people out there who will give you the help if you ask. They're out there. So definitely,
man. I think I got to end this podcast right now. I'm motivated to get started myself after that, David.
Absolutely. Yeah, go create.
Hey, with that being said, guys, it is time for us to wrap up. So you heard David. Go out and create today. But first, make sure you back this awesome Indiegogo campaign. Right here is the link. Check it out. If you can't back, put it on Twitter and Facebook. Anywhere you can is greatly appreciated. With that being said, we are wrapping up. I hope you all have a fantastic Thursday. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.